Right. Good evening, guys. Can you let me know if you can hear me and see a screen? Yes. And here can see a screen. Yeah. Right. Perfect. Okay. So today we need to start with the 20 unit 1, the essay questions. Right. We did 2 classes before this. Guys, I still have not sorted your recording out. A lot of people ask me, don't worry, right? I'll send in the recordings of the last 2 sessions. I also have been a little bit busy, and then my Wi-Fi also has been playing a little bit uh, playing the fool a little bit these days. So I'll send it very, very soon. This PDF, I did send it on the group from wondering. I'll send it on my theory group also. Okay. So this question, guys, now I did not send it earlier because you all anyway have the past papers, right? So I was just thinking whether you all will take the effort to actually figure out what are the unit 1 questions and try and do it. That is why I did not send it in the group beforehand. So these are all the unit 1 past papers. It's a little thundering here, but I don't know how is the situation there, guys. So after a long time, it's a little thundering, and it's not raining though, but it's thundering and light. Normal size very weird today. I don't know why. Okay, same in also. Right. Okay. The normal things, right? Now we've done 2 classes, but we have not been able to do a lot of classes, right? So we are little lagging behind schedule because of these power cuts and all of it. But these days, the power cuts actually have been good times for me. I don't know what time it is for you all. Mine it goes in the morning, and then it goes again at around uh, 5 and come at around 6:40. So usually my classes start at around 7. No? So given that, I think it's a little bit of a good timing for me currently this week's power cut schedule. I don't know how it will be the next week, but this week current actually it is kind of good and all right. So I'm a little bit happy about that, but then uh, a little bit sad with all what is happening in the country and the prices of everything going around. Guys, I just want to get a small input before we start, guys. What your normal, and so most of you all might be going for classes, no econ, BS, accounting, and all of it, right? So some may be physical, some may be online. Can you just let me know how much does the teacher charge from you as class fees, and do you get a printed tute for each unit? How much is like the monthly class fee? Probably 4 classes a month, right? How much is the monthly class fee, and you'll get like a printed tute these days? Yes, 25, 2000, 25, 25. Okay, right. No, because I was actually thinking, because now these days I was just looking at my normal. I don't know if you all saw in the website. I actually gave a what? Okay, usually 2.5, right? Okay, right. Most of you all have said 2.5, no, because I gave in this what? Okay, 3,000. Okay, that's I don't know. Okay, right. So normal, I was just checking because now these days I don't know, guys. Anyone bought a A4 bundle recently? No. When how much was the price when you last time bought an A4 bundle? The 500 page A4 bundle, 500 papers. How much was it last time? Was at least a rough idea? No, no cost. It's around today. I checked because I actually ran out of paper. Right now, I gave this discount to purchase this theory class recordings that I sent it on your group. Also, there was offer until the 31st of April. Actually, what happened is more than the amount that I expected. I've actually purchased it, so now I'm actually short of paper, right? And right now, when I'm going to buy paper, it's one bundle is 2,800. Right, this is a 500-page A4 bundle selling in the wholesale market. Right, so when I'm buying, also I usually buy around 15-20 bundles, right? So that's like comes in boxes. One bundle is around 2,800, right? So if you know a place that I can get bundles for cheaper, right? I checked with the factory. I think they said they'll give it to me a little lesser, but normal in PETA, the wholesale market, if a bundle is going at 2,800 now. I don't know if any other place has old stock which I can get it for cheaper, but that is the price that is going on right now, and it's a huge loss for me in terms of printing tutes and doing all of that. So yeah, that is I was just wondering with the class fee to everything is am I charging too low? Like, have other teachers, like, have other people switched? I don't know. Like, if teachers are still continuing to give you all a printed tube, that's something that you will need to really appreciate, guys, because right now the cost of printing has, compared to what was it last year, has almost increased by around 5 times. Last year, this A4 bundle was around 600 rupees. Now the same A4 bundle, which was 600 rupees last year, is what, 2,800, right? So it's almost 5 times now, right? So whoever who is getting a printed tute, right, if it's a proper tute, right, almost the printing cost also would have increased by around 3-4 times in the context of teachers and all of it. And even courier charges, if it's an online class right now, also my courier expenses also doubled. So that's why I was just wondering, right? So those things apart, right? I'm just a little bit of a small thing to motivate you, a small thing to scare you as well. Before we start, right now, some of you all might be looking at going to these private universities also, right? Once your levels are done, right? Some of you all have plans to go into a local university. Some of you all, local uni takes a little bit of a long time. Let's try into like a let's say a private university, right? So where probably the degree is from a UK university or somewhere like that. Okay, so I'm just telling you, right? I was doing CIMA, right? The fee that I had to pay was £1,395, right? So 4 months before, I collected, hardly did some classes and collected around 380,000. That was the amount I had to pay, right? So last week I actually made the payment, but it was not 380,000. I had to pay a 620,000, right? So just this year itself, there's a loss of around 240,000 just for me, right? I don't even make 240,000 a month. So that is a huge loss. I'm just saying, right? If you're looking at your normal private university degrees and all of it, right? So probably you all will be paying in pounds, right? At the start of the year, a pound was around 230. Okay. Right now, the pound is at 440, right? So usually I remember a private degree, let's say a normal place, right? Not a very good place, not a very cheap place also. A normal place in terms of, let's say, management and stuff will cost you around close to around 1.5 million to 2 million, right? So from this 1.5 million to 2 million, right, a part you pay for the institute, around 75% of it you pay to the abroad country, right? You pay your exam fees, your semester fees, right? You have to pay abroad, yes, CIMA, ACC, all of that included as well, right? So CA is a different story, right? So given said this, right, this is before. Now you all will be probably getting into those in at least another 6-7 months, right? So I'm guessing, right, with how things are going, right, your normal degree, this cost will double it, right? So you will at least end up paying close to around 3.5 to 4 million, right? With the pound and everything getting depreciated. And I don't see this getting the thing getting better also, right? Now, basically, if you all know the economics behind unit number 10, right? Demand, supply, and all of it, there is no way that the currency is going to get stronger. It's only going to get worse and worse. So for all those looking at getting into private universities, you're rich enough, perfectly fine. But if you're also the normal middle class person suffering with your father's income is the same as last year, this is going to be very, very tough, and it's going to be very, very hard. A huge burden on your parents and a huge burden on you as well, right? For making your parents pay that. If you're rich enough, then that's perfectly fine. So that's one more motivation to see if you can get into a local university. A local university will give you this whole thing for free. So 4 million is around 40 lakhs, right? So that's a lot of money, right? So let's say your parents make 1 lakh a month, 25,000 they save, right? So they at least have to save for around 7 years at a stretch every month to pay that 40 lakhs. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of savings that you will spend if you end up doing a private degree. But if you're rich enough, that's completely fine, right? But I'm just telling you, for normal middle class people, right? I know, like me, right? That's a huge burden, right? So unless you're earning in dollars, if your income is just in rupees, right, you're losing like nothing these days with inflation and all of it. So you do have around 6 to 7 months to go, right? Give it your everything, guys, right? Give it your best shot, right? If you are maybe not going to a class at all, maybe see if you can join a class, right? Maybe the class fees might be around 2,000, 3,000, right? So the next 6 months, you might spend around 15 to 20,000 for class fees, right? That 15, 20,000 investment, you can save a lot of money, maybe if you go to a proper class, if you get into a local university, right? You can save that 4 million by spending that a little. So make good choices, right? These 6, 7 months, give it your best shot. I think you don't have 7 months, so you have less than that, right? So give it your best shot, right? Study as hard as possible, because even the smallest is its goals, right? Sometimes you might miss it by a little, some by a point, right? So October 17th is the date. I don't know. For now, it's October 17th. We'll hope and see that it happens there, right? I don't know. I guess it will happen. We'll see, right? So given that you have close to a little bit less than 6 months, right? So study as hard as possible. These are your final days, right? Because if you don't do it right now, you're going to regret it. And especially if you end up doing a private degree, right, where you wanted to do a local uni, but you ended up doing a private degree and spent around 40, 50 lakhs. That's a real waste of money, right? If you're rich enough, that's perfectly fine. Once again, okay, so keep that in mind. That's a little bit a small fact to scare you, plus a small fact to motivate you to somehow get into a local university. Okay, right. So I don't know how many of you all actually tried this. Do you all try the questions? Do you all try answering unit number 1? Did I say questions? No. Yes. Sacked and wrote. And also one more small question just from my students, for the people who did the paper yesterday. How is the paper? I couldn't ask. The MCQ paper. How is the paper? How much you all get? I did not check the marks, but the very first amount of marks I checked, part 1, a lot of people had not done that great. I saw. Right. Could have done good. That's nice. Okay. I'll check. Perfect. Okay. So we'll start with this, right? We'll start with 2015, right? This is again unit number 1, guys. Again, when I'm telling you, when you're studying, also go from unit by unit, right? So make sure that you study unit by unit and you finish things off. Okay. And also, guys, a lot of people ask me information about this fast track program that I'm starting next month. I'll give those later, right? On another day. We'll probably have a session on how to plan 6 months. Probably in that session, towards the latter half of it, I'll give you all a bit of information how you all can join, what we will do, and all of it. So I'll just not waste the time now. Okay, right. So 2015 A levels, question number 1. Starting off with a simple thing, right? So explain using examples the difference between a free good and an economic good. Okay, now, right, when they tell you explain using examples the difference between things, right? Something that I saw in some of the papers that I have marked also, right, is this is not O levels. You're not writing O level questions, right? You're writing answers for an A level question. So when you talk of a question that says explain, right? So it's explain using examples. Ideally, I'll tell you how your answer format should look like. We'll forget about what your content is, right? So your answer format should look like something like this. How you will ideally get your marks is, right? So free good. Now always break the question, guys. When you get a question, right? How to answer this is you break the question. You think how are they going to give the marks for this question? So here, right? If I'm to simply break this question down, right? Yes, here it's also thundering heavily. I hope it gets better. So they're going to give you 2 marks for a free good. They're going to give you 2 marks for economic goods, right? How is this 2 marks again going to be broken down, guys? For a free good, right? I'll just say FG. For you to give in a small explanation, right, in the differences, saying there is no opportunity cost, there is no cost of production, unlimited in supply. By mentioning all of those words, right, to write a small explanation, right? Let's say in 3 to 4 lines, let's say maximum 5 lines, they give you 1.5 marks, right? And then they'll give you half a mark, right? 0.5 for an example, because they've clearly told using examples. Same thing, right? For economic goods, right? They'll give you 1.5 marks, right? About, having opportunity cost, limited in supplies, chaos, right? All that nonsense you write, right? Okay. So if you're writing this, right? If you're writing economic goods, okay. So for let's say 1.5 marks, right? 1.5 marks for this, and then right again an example, you will get 0.5. So that is basically how, right? That is basically how your marks will be structured, guys. So make sure when you are writing an answer that you write answers based on these. Now, what usually some people do, right? What some people I have seen doing, right? When they say explain the differences, they put a table like this, right? They say free goods, right? They put economic goods, right? They write free good, limited, unlimited in supply. Economic good, limited. This thing, no opportunity cost, right? This is this thing. So that is what you do. So that is not the type of answer that they expect, right? When you're doing A levels, that's not a normal A level type answer. So don't give in things like that, because that is why we are doing this past paper class also, no? Right? To learn the answering structures and all of it. So please make sure that you little by little we'll talk about this, right? We'll talk about the structures, we'll talk about all of this, but start correcting that, right? It's not just knowing your theory, not knowing what this is, it's also about writing your answers, right? So keep that in mind. Anyone guys follow this structure when writing? No? A paragraph explaining, then put an example, then wrote another paragraph, example. That is your ideal structure. Don't go with a table, guys. Okay. So now, okay, what you can do, right? So now talking about the answer. If we talk about free goods, guys, now you all have the past paper answer and all of it. So I'm not going to type an answer here, guys, for you all, right? So free good. What can you write? The key points, guys, right? So what can you write when you're talking about a free good? What are the main things that you have to include? Free goods. What can you include? Exactly. So make sure that you write the fact that it is unlimited in supply, right? Yes, unlimited in supply. Okay. And then what can you say? Yes, you can talk about no opportunity cost. Say that there is no opportunity cost, right? What else can you say? There is no production process, no resource cost, right? No price. Yeah. So you can give in things like that. So write 4 points in a paragraph, right? You don't have to write points. So you can say this a free good is a good that is unlimited in supply. In addition to that, right? It also has zero opportunity cost. Further, these goods has no resource cost and a price cannot be charged. So you connect the lines, right? The normal points that you know, you connect it. So you write that small paragraph, you get 1.5 marks. So then for your other half mark, now you have to give in an example. What can we give? What are the examples that you can give for a free good case? Yes, air, sunlight, rainwater, right? So give in maybe 2 examples. Enough. Okay, you got that 2 marks there, right? Then you move on to the next part, economic goods. What can you write for economic goods? The opposite of this. So you can say in contrast, use some nice words, guys, when answering, right? So say in contrast, right? That means opposite, right? In contrast, an economic good is a good that is scarce in supply. In other words, it's limited in supply. And also it involves, there is an opportunity cost and a resource cost, right? Yes, limited in supply, right? Put all those points. Then again, the price aspect, guys, not always, right? Now remember, so you can say an economic cost may, sorry, economic good may or may not be given at a, maybe the consumer may or may not pay a price in obtaining an economic good. Yes, you can say produce using human intervention, right? You can put all of that, but have the main points, guys, the opportunity cost, the limitedness, this thing, right? So all of that, you'll have to put that. Why education is not a free good? Yes, whether a good is a free good or not. Right? My earphone. So whether a good is a free good or not, guys, is not determined based on the price, right? Whether a good is a free good or not is determined based on whether they use scarce resources or not. So a free good does not use scarce resources. Economic good does use scarce resources, right? So You have to not use the table, guys. Don't use the table. Use the this thing, right? The description while answering. Okay. So then, if you're talking about okay, why? Okay, now my question to you is right. Like I asked this thing. Is the okay the government textbooks that you get for this thing? I think I asked it last class also. Is it a free good or economic good? Or the free education that you get from school, right? These are all economic goods. Even though you get it for free, right? You don't pay a price, but economic resources were used to produce those goods, right? You used economic resources, guys. Chaos, land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship was used to produce those goods. So you can never say it's a free good. Guys, remember, free good does not mean a good that is free. A free good means a good that does not use scarce resource, that is unlimited in supply. That is what a free good is. Free doesn't come from the price of it, right? So always don't compare it that way. I'm hoping that's fine. So that's what you will have to do there, right? Done. Then if you move on to, is any questions there? Question one, Chef. That's a very easy question that you can score your 4 marks, guys. Not at all. Is non-economic resource and the free good the same? Non-economic resources and non-economic goods are almost the same, right? Because there is no production process. Okay, so I think I have kind of taught this, right? Now, but I'll re-explain this, but since it has taken some time, right? Okay, so if you take economic resources, right? Please, can you give me examples, economic resources? Economic resources examples. Land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship, right? So you can say machines and you know all of that, you can go further. Okay, land, labor, so capital and entrepreneurship, free economic resource. Then can you give me entrepreneurship? Okay, can you give me examples for economic goods? Economic goods examples. Yeah, books, tables, right? Anything, pencils, right? Your mobile phones, anything, right? Vehicles, yeah. So now what happened? These economic resources, guys, are used to produce economic goods. So there is a production process, right? There is a production process that converts this land, labor, capital, entrepreneurship into these goods. So the resources, what are resources? Inputs used in the production process, no? So there is a production process here, right? There is a production process that converts these resources into goods. Then if you talk of non-economic resources, right? Non-economic resources. Can you give me examples? Non-economic resources. Resources that are unlimited in supply. Yeah. Rainwater. Sunlight. Okay. Then if you look at this guy, now resources are used to produce goods. Non-economic goods. What are the examples? Non-economic goods. In other words, that is what we call free goods. What are the examples? The same, right? Yeah. Rainwater. Sunlight. Now, why is that, guys? Why is the non-economic resource and the non-economic good the same? Why is it the same? Why is it here also air, rain, sun, water, and here also, so not sun, water, sunlight? Why is it the same, guys? Why? It's the same, guys, because there is no production process. There is no production that takes place here, guys, right? So given that there is no production, right? Now, do you produce air? Do you produce rainwater? Do you produce the sunlight? You don't, right? So there is no production process. Usually resources are converted to goods used for production process, right? So here, there is no production process, guys, no production process, right? I'll just write in short form. There is no production process. So when there is no production process, what happens? The resource and the good are both the same. So if that was your confusion, I'm hoping that's fine now. Okay. Not related to this question, but a little bit of outside. Yeah. Okay. So then we'll move on to the next question, right? Okay. So next question talks about the concept of opportunity cost and describe how opportunity cost can relate to the problem of scarcity. Okay, so this is again, yes, it's raining very heavily, it's thundering also. I'm wondering my earphone, there was like a small electric shock. I'm wondering what happened last time. I put it on back again. I'm wondering what happened. We'll see. Unless it gets very bad, we'll see, because I've cancelled a few classes also. I don't want to cancel this now. We'll keep going. If it gets really bad, we'll see. That's I removed my laptop from it was charging also, so I removed the charger. Yes, yes, I saw the recording, but don't worry. Okay, right. So explain the concept of opportunity cost and how does it relate to scarcity, guys? Right. So when you get a question like this, now again, right? Uh, yeah, I'll solve the recording on, guys. Don't worry. Okay. So again, now like I said, once you get a question, guys, don't all of a sudden go and answer, guys. Right? Have a small structure in your head. Now, right? This is how the marks are broken down. Think, right? In your own language, whatever language that you think of, right? So ideally, if I have to help you all with it now, few questions I'll help you all with it, guys. Right? My voice is low. Yep, no, can't hear. I'm wondering if something happened to my earphone. Yep, right? Okay. In case it's low case, then maybe leave and join should be fine. Okay, right. So then here, this thing, guys. Now, if you're going to talk about this whole problem, right? Now you can't, right? You can't just come and define scarcity and you can't just define opportunity cost. You are not going to get the marks here, guys. You can't say scarcity is the limitedness of resources compared to what unlimited bonds. Opportunity cost is the cost of the next best alternative or what you have to give up. No, it's not going to make that way. It's not going to make sense that way, right? You have to connect a little. They're asking you, how does this relate to this? So you all know the normal story, guys, right? So you all know, right? Given that there is limited resources, right? Limited resources plus unlimited bonds, it leads to what? Given that you have limited resources in the world and unlimited bonds, this together leads to scarcity, right? So resources are then scarce. Then these scarce resources have what? They have what uses? They have exactly. They have alternative uses. So given that these scarce resources have alternative uses, meaning you can do different things with these resources. If you have a plot of land, you can build a factory, you can build a farm, playground, you can do different things, alternative uses. But the problem comes, can you do everything with one plot of land that you have? Can you do everything? Can you build the factory? Can you build this thing? You can't. So what then this leads to what? Given that you have scarcity and alternative uses, it leads to choice. You have to make a choice now, right? You have to choose, okay, look here, I'm not going to do everything else, I'm only going to do this. So when you make a choice, you select your best option, right? The best one is this. So then you have to forego your others. So the moment you make a choice, it would lead to what? Can you do your next best option? Can you get the benefit from that? You can't. That leads to an opportunity cost. This is a very common question in your A-level paper, right? So this normal story is what you have to explain, guys. So they are asking you, how does scarcity, right? How does scarcity relate to opportunity cost, right? So I'm not going to type an answer, guys, but I'll just tell you, right? So you can start off your answer like this. You can say, right? Due to limitedness of resources and unlimited bonds that humans possess, right? Right? So they might ask you upside down, guys, but you have to explain the flow, right? So you say, due to the fact that there are limited resources and unlimited bonds, right? The problem of scarcity arises. You can say scarcity is a universal problem common to every society. Just add a few parts there also, right? So then you can say these scarce resources have alternative uses, right? So after that, right? Given after that you say that these scarce resources have alternative uses, you have to clearly say that, right? Even though they have alternative uses, right? All of it cannot be done, right? You can't use it for every single use. So you can say that, right? A choice has to therefore be made. You have to make sure, right? A choice is made. Okay. So once a choice is made, what happens? You have to forego all your other uses. So the choice or your next best use is what we call your opportunity cost. So you can put in an example, guys. You can say, for example, if you take a plot of land, right? Take a plot of land, the alternative uses are you can build a factory, you can build a playground, farm, do everything. So if you choose to go with the factory, what would be your opportunity cost? So next best one, let's say your next best one is building a farm. That becomes your opportunity cost. So it's that flow where there is no hard and fast answer, guys. You don't have to memorize answers, right? As long as your English is correct, as long as you make sense, right, you will get your marks. So for you to make sense and for you to make your English correct, guys, you have to sit and write. You can't just read your note or read past paper answers and get this right, guys. The more you write, the more practice you get. The more you know how to write an answer, the more your flow becomes good, right? You think, no, these are very basic things. I can just, what sit and just read the answer and go and write. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to sit and write, guys, pen on paper, right? The moment you do that, now the words come, the words flow, how you connect the sentences, how you go from one to another, right? So that is that story that you have to explain. So you explain this story, right? You will get 4 marks. So usually, okay, about your timing, right? My general recommendation is now your question, right? One A-level question. You have 5 to do, right? So for one question, take 30 minutes. Country very, very bad. Okay. For one question, take 30 minutes, I will say, right? That's my general recommendation. So you have 5 questions then, right? You have 5 questions into 5, you will end up taking 2 hours and 30 minutes. So then you will want the survey. The paper is for 3 hours, right? So I'll tell you all what to do with the rest 30 minutes and all of it when we get close to the exam, right? So generally take this thing, maybe probably in another session, I'll explain what you all could do, right? So generally my recommendation is 30 minutes. That means for 1 mark, you can take 1.5 minutes. So ideally for a 4-mark question, you can take around 6 minutes, right, to write. So don't make sure that you don't write too much also, right? You write your normal level. Okay, that's it. Okay. So okay, then that's question 2. Any questions, guys? Are we fine with question 2? Opportunity cost, and how does that connect with scarcity? Fine. Can write an answer, guys. You have to write and practice, guys. It's not going to give. It's okay to give an example, guys. That's perfectly fine, right? And also one more thing now, if you're okay, right. Usually giving an example, now usually when you're giving examples, guys, make sure your example is correct, right? Because sometimes your explanation might be totally correct, but you give a example that is wrong, that gives a bad impression on you and you don't get your full mark, right? So if you think your explanation is not very sufficient, it's missing a few words here and there, then an example also, guys, to back up your explanation. If you think it's not very clear, so you can say, okay, for example, this is how it is. But then the examiner also understands, they'll give you the full mark, right? But don't go and give false examples. The moment you give false examples, you don't even get the full mark. Okay, right. Then question number 3. 2 is also done. 3. Describe how production possibility curves, using production possibility curves, how economies can grow faster if they are willing to cut back on current consumption. Interesting question directly there in one of my tutes also. Remember, yes, how many of you all know the answer? Yes, how does current consumption relate with economic growth, guys? A very easy question, right? Not that hard. So I'll tell you a normal story, right? So we'll explain this case with in relation to PPCs, right? That's okay, right? You refer the tute and you write. That's fine. It's directly there in my tute also. Now, if you look at a PPC, guys, in general, right? Give me an answer. What are the main types of goods the economy can produce? The 2 main types of goods. What are the 2 main types of goods? Don't tell me X and Y. What are the 2 main types of goods? Capital goods and consumer goods, right? So you have capital goods in one axis, right? You have consumer goods in the other axis, right? So we'll draw 2 countries, right? So capital and consumer goods, right? Now, what are capital goods, guys? Capital goods are the goods that you produce so that you can produce more goods, so that those goods will produce more goods. Now, for example, let's say machines. Why do you produce a machine? You produce a machine so that machine can produce more goods, some other goods. Why do you, let's say, come up with a building? So that building you can produce, you can use in the production process to produce other goods. So capital goods are what? Produced in order to produce other goods, right? So what are consumer goods then? Consumer goods are the goods that you use on your day-to-day consumption. You consume once, it's over, right? Your food, your clothing, right? Those things. So then right? Let's say an economy, right? Let's say there is an economy that's producing, right? There is two economies, let's say country A and country B. Okay, let's say we'll go with Sri Lanka and India, with Sri Lanka, and let's say okay, Malaysia. Okay, so let's say Sri Lanka currently, right? We are producing a lot of consumer goods, right? So we are producing our food, our clothes. We are producing all of that. But Malaysia, let's say, they are producing a lot of capital goods. They are producing these machines, buildings, right? They are producing at this point a lot of capital goods, very little consumer. The Sri Lanka, we are producing a lot of consumer goods, but a little capital goods, right? What can you tell about the current living standard, guys? Current living standard in Sri Lanka, is it high or bad? Don't think of the current actual example. According to my PPC example, current living standard, we're producing a lot of consumer goods, right? So we have our food, we have our, let's say, TVs, our refrigerators, our these things, right? So we have on all of that. So our current living standard, guys, is high. That was a big this thing. Yes, I'm not going to take time to type an answer, guys, because that will waste a lot of time, right? So you can go through this thing. I'll explain this to you, right? So current living standard is high, right? What can you tell about the current living standard in Malaysia? They are producing machines and buildings and things like that. People don't even have proper food, right? They don't have much food. They don't have much clothing. Current living standard is low. Yeah. So see, right now, see now what is happening. Malaysia, now see, they're saying how economies can grow faster if they cut back on current consumption. Now, Malaysia has actually cut back on the current consumption. They are not producing much now, right? They are not consuming much. They are producing machines and buildings and all that, right? But what do you think will happen 10 years later, guys, with economic growth? Which economy do you think will grow more? Sri Lanka, right now, they're producing a little bit of capital goods. So they will grow, right? They will grow a little, right? Because now when you produce machines and when you produce buildings, now these machines and buildings also can produce more and more goods. But what happens in Malaysia's context? Their economy will grow much faster. Why? Why will their economy grow much faster? Their economy will grow much faster because, right now, they're producing a lot of capital goods. See, they're producing a lot of machines, buildings, and all of it. So 5 years later, now, right, you can have a lot of growth, right? Because all of those machines also will be producing goods. Yeah. But that is where now, in general context, right? It's a good question, right? In general, that is also what Sri Lanka is not doing, guys, right? Sri Lanka, in our context, what are we doing, right? The only capital investments that Sri Lanka is making, right, as a government, what are we doing? We're making a what? We're starting, let's say, we are building highways, we are making a port, we are building some nonsense. That's all that we're doing, right? But that is not what the country should have been doing, right? Remember, I think in my last theory class, right, with my theory people, I taught you all about the story of whole Vietnam, right? A country that was very similar to Sri Lanka in 1990, how it has changed now, right? Even you all know, right? Yes, guys, Malaysia can import the consumer goods also, no problem, right? So if you cut back on current consumption, right? The moment you cut back on current consumption and if you produce more capital goods, these capital goods in the future, right, will be able to produce more and more goods. So as a result, when you cut back on your current consumption, what happens? In the future, your growth is much faster. So you can grow faster. It's that story that you have to explain, guys, right? So your answer, you can go through, yes, you can draw the two curves, right? You can draw the two PPCs because they are saying no, explain using a PPC. So they will give you marks for PPCs. Either they will give you 1 mark for this PPC, maybe not much marks for this, but they will definitely give you marks for this, right? Yeah, maybe even this graph, right? But if you want to show the difference, guys, ideally you have to show another graph also, right? So you can take 2 examples, that's perfectly fine. So probably they might give you around, now in this also, there is no much that you can write. So I'm guessing, let's say, okay, so let's say half a mark for this graph, 1 mark for this graph, 2.5 marks for your explanation, right? So you can say, a country basically produces consumer and capital goods, right? Consumer goods are the goods that you use for your day-to-day consumption. Capital goods are the goods that you use for, what? Mainly to produce other goods. So if you, for example, if you take two countries, right? Let's say country A currently is producing more consumer goods, so their current living standard is high. However, in the future, they will grow very low, right? Because they're only producing less capital goods. But if you take country B, in my context, Malaysia, they're sacrificing, and I use the words that they're putting in the question. Say, see, country B, they're cutting back on their current consumption. They have invested that resources into producing capital goods. So as a result, in the future, they are able to produce more and more goods. So their future growth potential is much higher. They can grow faster, right? So you put that and you explain, guys. Don't go writing pages and pages. No, right? If you know your point, if you know your thing, right, you don't have to write pages and pages, right? This explanation, even within, let's say, I'll say around 6 to 7 lines is enough. If you put your proper things, right? And then the diagram, that's completely fine. Don't go writing pages and pages. You're wasting your time. Is that okay, guys? Do you all understand the question? Fine. Yes. Chef. Yes, if I'm telling you all once again, if you all have still not written answers, right, please write, right? Take a CR book, take something, write the question, write the answer. At least write the question number and start writing it. Because if you're not going to write, you're never going to practice, right? You only have 6 months to go. When are you going to start writing? Okay. So sit and write, guys. Take time. That also is a very important skill, right? Sometimes you all know it's a headache to sit and write. You all can't focus, right? So practice focusing also, right? At least one question, see if you can do at a stretch. Because in your exam, guys, you have to do 5 questions at a stretch, right? 1, 2 questions you will do, after you will lose your focus. So you have to train, right? You have to train your mind. You have to train how to sit and write. Sit in one place and write. So that you have to do at home. Okay? So it has to come from your end, guys. I can't come to your house and make you sit and write. It's not an individual class. Yeah. But parents actually want me to do that, right? I remember last time. Now, this was a very interesting story, right? I'm not going to mention a school or something. There's a student from a certain school, a boy, right? So the parent is also a teacher in that same school, right? So the parent calls me, right? So parent calls me and tells me, sir, can you do individual classes? Now, I don't do individual classes, right? So, but the parent kept on, begging and begging. She's also a teacher now. And this is like 2021 A levels. In February, they had it somewhere around in November, December, right? So she calls. I said, no, sorry, I don't do individual classes because I don't have the time. Even if I do, I'll charge a crazy amount. So now when people keep on forcing what I say is I put a big amount. Then automatically they don't ask, right? So, but summer, then I said, okay, now she's begging and begging and begging. I said, okay, let's say, okay, 1 or 2 classes I will do online, right? On Zoom, right? Then she tells me, she can't work on Zoom also, right? So she wants me to come to her, near her son, right? Sit next to him and make him write the answers. Right? I was wondering what joke is this? And I told, right? I have all my all these past paper beyond the classroom, all my recordings, right? I'll give those, right? All the past papers I explained. She wants me to do past papers. So I said, okay, look here, I'm already doing a free class like this. Tell him to join that. Previous classes also, I'll give the recording. So then you can watch and catch it up. No. She wants me to come and sit next to her son, and she wants me to sit and write. Now, what nonsense is that, right? So make sure that you don't go to that level, guys. Right? Don't go to that level. This of I don't know, desperation or whatever thing. Right? That's very bad. Okay. So right now you take your time, you train your mind and sit. You don't have to have someone next to you watching you to write an answer, no, guys. Come on, you're not kids anymore, right? Maybe grade 1, grade 2, your parents come next to you and they also do the homework with you. It doesn't have to happen that way now. You don't have to have someone else next to you. You sit and write, guys. If that doesn't come to you, no, guys, I didn't do that class. What craziness. I will go out of me to help someone who is interested in the subject, who is really into it. I'll go out of my way. The moment I feel the person is playing the fool and he's doing nothing, I'm not going to do anything for it. Right? That is why the main reason I don't accept last minute individual classes. That's a nice way to make a lot of money, right? I'll tell you, it's a very easy way to make money, right? Because basically normal, right? Individual classes, if it's 2 hours, earlier they charge around 3,000. Now at least they'll charge around 4,000. So minimum allows charge around, let's say 4,000 per individual class, right? In one class, guys, how much can you teach? Can you teach an entire unit? You can't. Maximum half a unit, right? Let's say you do 2 classes a week for one student, 8 classes a month. That's 32,000 of income. You have 5 students like that, you make 150,000. That's easy money that you can earn, right? But then what's the point? Right? I mainly don't do that because I know these last minute people are not the people who are studying, guys. They're just looking for passing, and all these years they played the fool. Why are you bothering now? Right? So I don't take the effort to go out of the way. No point, right? So I'm telling you all also, don't be that person. That's a lot of, you're wasting your money. That's one thing. And on the teachers end also, that's fair, right? Because that's their time, their effort. If I'm to put my time and effort onto an individual class and teach them, obviously I'll charge a certain amount because that's my hard earned, not my hard earned, my valuable time, right? So don't go into that level, right? You had 2 entire damn years to get this done. And even now you have 6 months, which you can turn around completely, right? That is why the main reason I sell off my recordings also. It's, guys, I'm telling you, I'm not making a huge profit out of selling off my recordings also. I pay around what 70-80,000 for my server to upload those recordings which I sell for you all a year. In addition to that, per month also I have to pay around 10,000. So probably around 200,000 for the server. And then tute printing is almost double. There's like a huge, there's not a huge, there's a very small profit that I make from selling off this thing. And right now I gave it on a discount also, right? It's given because I don't want people to go to that desperate level and go into individual classes and, spend 3,000, 4,000 per class, right? You can't learn it that way, right? That's the main reason I put the whole thing. Not for me to make huge amounts of money. I promise I don't make huge amounts of money, right? So it's simple as that.